In this video, I'm going to show you where and how you can get a modern improv sound by working out some simple ideas with an augmented triad. Hi, my name is Jason Klobnak and I'm a jazz trumpeter from Denver, Colorado that helps musicians find a better way to improvise. If you're looking for a quick jazz improv tip that will help your soloing, then you've come to the right place. The augmented triad is probably one of the last triads that musicians learn because so much time is focused on others that can be more useful in many more types of contexts. Triads like major, minor, and even diminished get used far more often. So it makes sense that musicians spend more time on them than the augmented triad. The augmented triad is a chord made up of intervals that are a major third apart. It's called an augmented triad because you have an interval of an augmented fifth between the root and the fifth. It's also perfectly symmetrical, which means that each note that makes up the chord are evenly spaced intervals from the root up to the octave. Like this C augmented chord right here. C to E, major third. E to G sharp, also a major third. G sharp or A flat to C, yep, you guessed it, also a major third. Because of its symmetry and enharmonic notes, there are only 4 different pairs of augmented triads in Western music. We have the C, E, G sharp, the C sharp, F, A, the D, F sharp, B flat, and of course the E flat, G, B. When you take into account enharmonics, we've covered all of the different possibilities. Any one of those triads could start on the root, third, or fifth, and it would still contain each note in the triad. There's a few different applications you can use an augmented triad over, but as long as the 3 notes of the augmented triad fit into the chord or key area of the moment, it will work. If you've checked out my channel for any length of time, you will know that I'm really big into a concept called targeting, which is aiming at a goal note with purpose, both in a micro context, which would be chord to chord, or a macro context, which would be in the key area of the moment. So let's talk about where you can use them. Let's use that C augmented triad. What chords will that work over? The most obvious would be any C augmented chord type, but because it's symmetrical, it means it will also work over any E, G sharp, or A flat augmented chords too. But let's extend it out to where that C augmented triad would start to include upper extensions like the 7ths, 9ths, 11ths, and 13ths. So that stretches other possibilities into things like A minor major 7, or even into dominant chords like E7 flat 13 and A flat 7 flat 13. Using that C augmented triad over those chords would give you a nice inside sound during a solo. But if you want to create some interest, we can use it over anything as long as one of your targeted notes are within that augmented triad. I'll show you what I'm talking about in a minute. But for those that want to add even more interest or even some outside playing, you can combine 2 augmented triad pairs together for a sound like this. I might save that for a different video though. Okay, we've talked about where. Now, let's talk about some how. This is all about using tools to target a note. If you're not sure what those tools are, I'd like to invite you to check out my targeting masterclass that you can find in the link below the video. One of my favorite tools is using chromatic targeting. You might have heard or learned this as an enclosure or some other musical terminology. I like chromatic targeting because of the action the sound creates while targeting a specific note. I'm going to use this chromatic tool to target the G sharp or A flat. Probably heard it before. But if we're trying to add that augmented triad sound, I'm going to want to include those other notes in the triad to help accomplish that. So I might play a line that sounds something like this. This is just one way that I might use it. It's not going to be helpful for you to just cop the same lines I play, but hopefully this jumpstarts your own creativity to try some things out by implementing the Augmented Triad sound. What might also be beneficial is to try this out over a simple progression. So I'll play a little bit and then give you a chance to try it out on this video too. I hope you've enjoyed this video and that it has added value or benefit to your playing in some way. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell that's right next to it that lets you know when another video comes out. And if you know any other musician that might find this useful, you can share it with them too. Until then, my name is Jason Klobnak, and I'll see you on the next one.